Welcome to the Apprenticeship Diaries, where raw meets refined.
Let's be real, we're still working on refining.
What it took, what it takes, and the stories that are made.
Join us as we learn from professionals about how their stories began.
Diary listeners, hello. Happy Tuesday. This is a very raw episode. I don't expect it to be too long. I'm dubbing it Beyond Me because the point of today's diary entry is to let everybody listening know, if you don't already, that I'm getting married this upcoming weekend on Sunday. I wanted to do just a quick little, I guess, bullet point of the time frame and give you guys some insights into how I'm feeling. More about, I guess, what I am, my general feelings, just because everybody keeps asking. And I know it's very typical for everybody to have a lot of excitement around this time. I too am very excited. For many reasons, but a lot of it is a build up to much that I have put on hold. It occurred to me when I started down my path of building a relationship with God and having my heart broken in 2020 and just assessing my life that I needed to change many things about how I lived and how I worked and everything. So this day is kind of the culmination of all of that reassessment. I haven't worked much, meaning I haven't tattooed many. That's for a lot of reasons. I've really limited the amount that I have done in that arena, mostly because I have a lot of assessment to do in that area as well. But with this union that I'm having with Rico, as you guys have known him in the intro, he's my soon-to-be husband, my current fiance, which fiance is a weird term, and it it feels a little too fancy. I don't know why I still feel more comfortable with boyfriend. I feel very comfortable with husband. I think it's going to be a great change. It's going to be an adjustment to move into being an Illiano. I've been Amy Nicholls my whole life. I've had people misspell my last name my whole life. I've told Rico that as much as it'll be my new legal name, my art will always hold my maiden name. That's my roots, and since I don't have children, those are my babies that I proliferate the world with and that I express through. And since my parents took such efforts to cultivate that in me, I feel it's only right that I bestow each of my creations with Amy Nicholls still, or ACN, whatever the date is usually what I do. I have that crafted, and so I'm not changing any of my emails or my website, because all of those things have A. Nicholls and all this stuff. So there's so much. I mean, I'm 43, guys. I'm 43. I'm getting married very late. None of this was ever thought of. And I recently had someone ask me what changed, and I was kind of dumbstruck. I got a little aggressive because, or I guess flustered, because it's a lot. It's a lot to explain. Sorry if you guys hear Rico in the background. He's getting ready for the day and he's excited because hunting season started. I'm a little, I know he's excited about the wedding, and nothing will get in the way of that day, but I did set this date right at the beginning of hunting season, so I'm asking him to take a whole Sunday and, focus on our marriage. It's one of the smaller things I've asked of him. But getting back, I was asked what changed? And I was kind of alluding to that in the beginning. What changed was that my heart broke. And when this person asked at first, I didn't know how to talk about that. And I'm not even sure if I still do. The thing that changed was that I think I had finally realized that I only get so much control over my life, if any. What I'm given is the freedom to choose and to feel the reality of my choices. And even that choice is a gift from God. The truth of the matter is God needs to be the center point and the foundation, the cornerstone, if you will, to everything else. And if that is not the case, it's going to have a weak foundation. And there was a lot of things that pushed me to seeking God. I always believed in God, always. But I never fostered a relationship. And the reason, I guess, why I am bringing this up is because, and I don't know. This is just my experience, and I think that each of us needs to go through our own experiences. That's the only way. That's how God works in us, and that's when you know you're ready to cultivate, I guess, a relationship. But I never wanted to get married before because I always saw it as empty before. I always saw it as a business contract that you enter into under the state. I always saw it as cold and calculative and anything but loving. I always saw it as something that was frivolous. And the more that our laws have perverted the definition and the meaning of marriage, which was a formulation under God, I have just by proxy, just as a young girl, looked at the whole institution, if you will, as just something I didn't want to be a part of. Like, I looked at it from where I was in the 80s and 90s and saw it and said, I don't know why anybody would do this. You know, why would you do that? Why would you, agree to that? And there's many things that I looked at from a very self-centered point, which is why I'm calling this episode Beyond Me, because for a long time, I just made my life what it could be for me. And the pursuit of happiness was more of what I felt. A very American view is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So my life, my liberty, my pursuit of happiness, what does that mean to me? And what can I construct for myself? And that's exactly what I did for a very long time. And because I did it that way, I had to have things be very manageable. Small house, 2 cats. I had 3 at one point just to help out my friend Katie in a moment where she needed it. And that even was a lot more than I anticipated. Just having one more little itty bitty mouth to feed was a bit more, and more hair in my house. So my whole life has really been measured by what I can do for myself. I never wanted kids because, again, I just didn't think I was responsible enough. And I never had, or picked rather, a partner that I would want to take that journey with. I could barely trust myself, let alone, going into that kind of creation with someone else. So the creations that I have and the creations that I've made are ones that I knew that I could do and do well, which is my artwork. And I lived a very self-centered existence. Very honestly self-centered. I mean, I told people that that's what I was doing, and I thought that that was enough of a admission to keep me from being hurt. And, I kind of, I think, resigned myself to all of it, like I just was like, well, this is enough, and I think we do that because, well, I know I did it because I had this thought that I never wanted to hurt anybody. I always wanted to be just like a happy space for everyone. I didn't want to get anyone's way. I only wanted to do what I could do well. I didn't want to be a burden. In general, I just really wanted to be the type of person who didn't make life more complicated for anyone else. And that's what I saw a lot of the things that people just go into all the time as being. And it was an interesting perspective because I just saw it all being so hard and insurmountable, and I felt so inadequate towards all of it. And I think that the issue is that as much as I believed in God, I didn't know what God was. I didn't know how vast and how epic and what having a relationship with God really means. It means that you try to look at yourself through what God sees in you, which is so much more vast than you yourself could ever deem. It means walking into faith. It means walking into possibilities that are not certain, that you really have to, lean into the discomfort of unknowing and see and risk failing. And I think this is important for the people that listen to this podcast, because I've struggled most of my life with relationships. And it's been really hard for me. I've always wanted one. I've always wanted love. I've always wanted connection. I've always wanted family. I just have always felt very inadequate to all of it. And it's been rough. And I have really benched myself in a lot of things. And for all the people who listen because they're trying to be an apprentice of a tattoo shop, where they're trying to seek the next level in their life and to expand and grow, I feel like this is a very honest admission to all of you that, yeah, I understand so deeply your fear and not knowing what's next, not understanding what to do, feeling very uncomfortable, putting yourself before other people and risking failure, risking so much, and just getting your heart utterly dashed over and over again. I understand what that feels like. But I guess that's the reason why I feel so compelled to have this pre-wedding episode, is because meeting and coming to God has given me such unbelievable peace of mind that I can't even explain it. I know life is going to get rough in the future. I know it. There is nothing in the world that can give me peace at this point about how rough it's going to be. There's no there's no denying it. And we're on the precipice of a new election cycle. Life is tense. People are very divided. The world is, combating so much. Everybody is perceptively tense. There's a lot of fear. And I think that this is on a global scale now in many ways. And so I feel like whatever is occurred in me since my heart finally breaking to a point where it was like, revolutionary. It switched everything. It flipped every perspective upside down and allowed me to see it from a new angle that I hadn't before. And when I told, well, before I go in there, I think the world is scared, and I think people are scared, and I think that is why we need God. That's why we need to pursue that part of ourselves that craves that kind of eternal love and connection. And I pray deeply that all of us find that. I do, because I think that is going to be the only thing that allows us to move forward in a good way, in a way that we can have peace and salvation, true salvation, because that's what our Creator did for us. He died for us. He came and suffered and bled for each of us. And that is the salvation that He offers. And I can't describe it any way other than that. It's just the truth of it. And when you're ready, I guess, or when you're like me, broken to the truth of all of it, you'll see it too. I'm kind of ashamed that it's taken me this long to see it. I've had so many people try to open my eyes to it. I think the most potent being my mother. And I've probably been the most ungrateful for her if I were to, really look at that. I owe her so much. Life itself, for sure, her and my father, but, they could have been any kind of parents, but the kind of parent that I got from my mom was it was challenging. It still is, but man, am I grateful. My cousin said to me, who doesn't have her mom anymore, be grateful that you get to argue with her still. And I am. I'm still very human, and I still get very frustrated. But I am very grateful. And I do keep that in perspective. I think that's why I get so frustrated, is because we don't know how much time we'll have, and we don't know how devastated we'll be if our last words to each other are awful. But it's not within our control. Every moment is a gift, and unsure as to what lies ahead And that's why I think it's really important to think about things in a much more expansive way, long-term way. And that is what my mother has always preached. No, don't live for the moment. Don't do that, because if you're planning for eternity, plan for eternity. Lay foundations that are for an eternal space. And what does that mean? What does that look like if you're crafting an eternal spot in the universe? It's not just here and now, it's forever. What does that look like? And so that's how I'm looking at a lifetime now with the same person. What does that look like? What should that be? And I think that's the only way that I'm not freaking out right now. I've been with Rico less time than I have some of my partners. And I feel ashamed too for the fact that I wasn't ready for any of them, that I couldn't, like, I just didn't. I mean, I shouldn't feel ashamed. If God had wanted that to be the person, that would have been the person. But I wasn't ready for that at that time, and we did not cultivate together what was necessary in order to unite. We were trying, both of us, to lay everything in place. I mean, the reason why I sit in this house right now that I own, is because of that relationship. We were trying every way we could to uplift each other and to grow and to create forever status, but just the feelings that we had for each other were not ones of a forever kind of feeling. And it was probably because both of us were deeply flawed. So this heartbreak, describing this to the person who asked, I had to write him, because when we talked about it in person, it was after my bachelorette party. I think I was getting tired, and also it went on a tangent, as all of you know, I tend to do, that wasn't going to glorify God at all. It was just my experience. And I think because it was my experience during a very, very palpable time in our history, 2020, COVID, all of that, this person was getting defensive with me because his life was much different than mine during that time. And his journey has provided him with a lot of perspectives that serve his life at this point. And I do think that that's how we roll, right? Like it's really hard to hear about what other people are doing and why they're doing it and not compare it to what you do and think, good for you. I'm happy for you. I don't agree with you, but I'm happy for you. And genuinely mean that. I think a lot of us look at each other with this I don't know, just the filter of our limitations. We can only see so much. So what we use as our filter is our own experience and our own fears, our own perspectives, and that's what we see from. And so because of what we've experienced, we look at all the things that have hurt us, all of the things that have gone awry, and we look at others and what they're doing and say, I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that, But that's not really what matters. What matters is that in this person's case, that he cared enough to ask. And I did get that from him, like, even though I'm not sure if anything that I said landed. Even when I stayed up at night and typed him a very long message trying to articulate it better and less confrontational, I still don't know if it landed. But I think he appreciated me taking a little extra time. He felt apologetic for having me feel like I had to, but I had to, because the question he asked went all the way to the root of my relationship with God. And it's to the glory of God that I want to do most things now. I have no idea how to do it. I barely know how to articulate it. It's been very challenging, and I'm still very much so studying this and trying to do as best as I can. I'm late to the game. I mean, I don't even know what that means, but I feel late to the game. And all of this is so new to me, and it has to strike you. And if it doesn't strike you in your heart and it doesn't affect you in that way, then you don't understand why it's even necessary or what people are looking through. You just don't get it. And I get it. It seems crazy, and it seems stupid, and it seems silly, and it seems irrelevant, and it seems so unbelievably flawed, because there is no basis in it other than sheer faith. But what is love? What is love? You know, we can define it as much as we can, but what is this thing that we commune in, and that we connect with, and that we, you know, that has us, even though we're walking more and more into a future of pain and suffering and death, why do we keep waking up every day and trying? I mean, there's no logic to that when we know that X, Y, and Z are going to occur. We don't know how, but we know those things will happen. So why do we keep doing all of that? You know? What is that? What is that foundation? And for me, it's God. For me, it's the eternal blessing. Love is everything that God is and offers, and it's what I've been searching for my entire life. That kind of peace, that kind of connection, that kind of confidence, that kind of eternal space where no matter what happens to me, I can weather it, because I know that if I am still experiencing something and still present here, that it is exactly where I need to be, and I need to figure out why I am and make choices based on what I feel from God is the right choice, and really listen to that. And I've been listening to a few interviews, one with Russell Brand and one with Glenn Beck, and both of them have said in response to, what do you account for your ability to see things the way that you do? That's remarkable, that allows for so much. What do you account for it? Russell Brand said mental illness. And he probably could have followed Glenn Beck too, who answered alcoholism. But if you guys understand what they're talking about, it's a perspective that doesn't allow you to be scared of things where most people are scared. And I really identify with that. I mean, that's what's allowed me to become the artist that I am today, to make a lot of the choices that I've made today, to live the alternative space that I have lived most of my life, is that I really, without knowing it, trusted that I would be fine no matter where my life found me, that I would be able to manage it. And all I asked God at that point was, please, God, allow me to feel my choices. Please don't shackle me to other people's choices. Pardon this interruption, diary listeners. I needed to really quickly shout out a good friend who actually made my wedding day a little bit extra. Last minute, I ordered some scent beads, some wax beads that you can burn and make a room smell really, really nice. They're beautiful. My family had these jars and we didn't know what we were going to do with the jars. Needless to say, I was able to create a really nice wedding favor for all my guests via our good friend. I've known him since I was a little girl. His name's Joel Wyman, sorry. And he owns the company Celestial Dreams. Now you can actually find his product and shop him at shop.celestialdreams.com. And he's very fair. His prices are awesome. He delivers on all things. And he made sure to get me everything I needed with quick service. He even gave me a sample that I could check it out. The smell that I like, that's one of my favorite smells that goes way back, is Egyptian musk. So he has a wide variety of smells. He even went as far as to do this for me, even though Egyptian musk is not his favorite at all, but he indulged me and, just was superior. He even asked about the color that I wanted. So it was really beautiful that I was able to get somebody to work with me so quickly and just do such a great job. So shop.celestialdreams.com. Shop.celestialdreams.com. All right, listeners, back to the podcast. I don't want to live a life where I have to be prisoner to what other people dictate to me. I can't live that way. I won't live that way. It'll break me. And so that's why my heart broke in 2020, is because I saw, and praise God that it did, because I saw how I was living. And I saw how, for lack of a better term, contrarian I was, flippant, squishy. I had little convictions. I was very like, whatever, man. And when you live as a whatever man kind of person and you actively choose apathy towards what other people are doing. See, that's easier for me than it is from a lot of other people. And it's very sociopic. And I've admitted that too on this podcast, that I think I have a problem with sociopathy that comes very naturally to me. I have to actively choose to let people in. And it deeply frustrates me. When I do, it gets me really off kilter, really off balance. And I can't imagine if that's a natural setting for most people, because their lives must feel like they must feel pain all the time, hurt all the time, disappointed all the time. I don't feel that way because I usually manage my expectations so much of others and expect so little that and take a very apathetic view to most things, a very nihilistic view to most things, or at least I did, that there wasn't so much shared pain, and I did all that so that I could pursue what I wanted. And I do think that's what a lot of people do when they're seeking success. I think it's particularly hard to climb to these levels of success that we see in our culture today without that kind of ability to cut people out, to manage certain things, to look at people like numbers, and to really become cold and calculative and just sociopic on some level. And I think that's why in the Bible it says that a wealthy man's ability to get into heaven is as narrow as the eye of a needle. It's because the amount that you have to sacrifice of yourself and your soul and your view of other humans is so vast that it doesn't allow you to, an eternal place. It allows you great riches here, but you'd be lucky if you'd be able to find an eternal space in heaven. And I do think that that's a very acute warning, and I understand that very much so from this point in this space. So my heart broke because I had followed everything I thought I knew to its point, and it wasn't enough. What I found was that I was still limited, flawed, and I had very little to carry me at that point once everything kind of came to its breaking point in 2020. And I saw that no matter how much I had crafted a life that I felt comfortable with, it wasn't producing what I wanted. And I had to reassess and reevaluate, and I had to have a lot of people that I thought were friends. I had to watch them walk away. I had to watch myself be vilified and really analyze those places. I truly have forgiven all of those people, and I pray for them, and I hope that, God allows, affects their hearts and minds and continually grows them, and I wish them all the best, and I truly do, because I want that for everyone. I want what I feel to be what everybody gets to feel, because it's so joyous and free and wondrous despite all things that are scary. And I do think that the way I was treated was a product of mass fear, a lot of it that was being manufactured to become more, because I think that's what God's opposition does, the enemy. He creates fear, creates anxiety, and wants to create situations where we walk away from God and where we rest on our own being, because we give up on our faith, because we think, what's the point? It's hopeless. I need to, it's this, I need to stay alive. I need to make sure everybody else around me stays alive and safe. And it becomes this very crazy thing. So getting back to my marriage, people keep asking me about it, how I feel. The truth of it is that I can't wait for it to be over. This is a lot that I am not used to doing. I'm used to being the worker bee that helps facilitate the event and the celebration. I love celebrating others. I love being a party goer. I found myself, because I love being a party goer, being invited to a lot of parties, because I think that I'm a good celebrator, and people recognize that, and they want me at their celebration, because I will make it a success, because I want it to be a success, and I am so joyous for other people. But it's really weird for me to craft that. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a big, I don't know. I've been to parties. I just don't hold very many. And the ones I hold are very small, and they're very catered to one or two people. I've tried to do others, and they were very awkward and very, I don't know. I think it's hard for me to just let it be and just relax and just let it be what it's going to be. And it's really hard for me to have some foresight about what all these different people from different quarters of my life are, what is going to provide a space for all of them to have a good time. I know it's quote unquote my day, but it's not. People keep saying that. Well, it's your day. It's your day. You should, do it any way you want. Which is odd to me, considering the fact that what I'm participating in is not something that's about me. It's about joining with a partner for life. So it's just as much about him under God and vowing to God. And for me, that's what it's about. For me, that's the only thing that it's about. And whatever it is beyond that, I'll just be grateful for. Already, I've had such overwhelming enthusiasm and support and love given to me by people that I really just don't even feel deserving of, because I know how much of a selfish person I've been most of my life, and how hard I've been to hold and track down and book with. And my clients particularly have been suffering from that recently. I've been trying to see a lot more family lately and cultivate more friendships and really be available to my friends in recent years. A complete changeover of where I was. But what I found after 2020 was, as much as people walked away from me, there were people there that were always there that stood by me and helped me weather that time. And they've just always been there. They've always supported me, and they've always been sincerely a loving asset to my life and person, because they understand that it's not about them only. That's a natural setting for them, and they know how to think beyond themselves, and they always have. And they know how to cultivate forever better than me, and they were there. And so that's why they're gonna be there at my wedding. I'm not able to invite all of the people that were there, but and that's sad for me, because people were like, "What's your day? You can do whatever you want." Well, I have to do what I can afford too. I can't afford very much right now, folks. I mean, my coffers are very, very thin and very bare. You should see my refrigerator right now. Rico and I don't even know what we've been eating. It certainly hasn't provided for a more in shape and healthy body going into a wedding dress and all this stuff, but it's just there's a lot, and I'm hoping there's gonna be a lot more. And I guess I just don't look at this as a day that anything more than it just being me and my husband to be under God, making vows, foundational vows that really matter, and fighting together for a lifetime, whatever might come. The reason why I want to get married now is because I see it for what it is. I see it as what you have to do to cultivate family. I see it as an institution that God created for one man and one woman to combine with the explicit reason to make children and proliferate. For me, wouldn't it be just so crazy and such a weird testament if after I got my tubes tied at 30, that in my 40s somehow, some way, and I've heard people have gotten their tubes tied and have conceived, so wouldn't it just be wild if God said, yeah, I know you wanted this, but I want this. He's done that with so much of my life already that it wouldn't shock me at this point. And wow, what a testimony would that be? I don't even know what I would do. I guess I know what I would do. I know I would accept it and do the best that I could. And Rico is definitely a man that I know I could do that with and do it well. We balance each other out quite well. And just the way he is with our animals, you guys, it's so cute. And some of my friends know that too. He just adopts everything like that. He just takes it on and without question and just knows instinctively how to handle so much. It's incredible. Let's see. I want to get married now because I get what God wants from me. And I get what God sees in me, which is far more than what I can imagine for myself. And I'm ready to yield to it because everything that I thought I knew wasn't the truth. And it didn't keep me safe. It didn't shield me from shit. All of it happened. All of it came crashing down. And all I had was my heart in a million pieces. Though I wasn't without love, I was left completely unknowing of what to do next. And I think that if you're really building towards something strong, I can't imagine you would find yourself in that position, not knowing what to do. But now I know what to do. I know to turn to God always. No matter what, no matter how dark, how deep. I know what is worth sacrificing and what isn't. I know how cruel I am genuinely in a lot of respects, and I'm grateful that I have been made to look at those spaces so that I can improve. It wasn't easy and it still isn't. I'm very flawed, everyone, and very fallible. And I am very foolish in a lot of ways, but an honest fool. I've always been an honest fool. And I will continue to be an honest fool and do the best that I can, as well as I can. Be honest. I want to let people know here that I have just today formulated a Facebook page for like a virtual space to experience my wedding. I've invited some friends from Facebook already and family. I'll have people know that it might strike you as odd, but I didn't invite any of my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins' kids. I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it. And also, I had to create something that was very married to what marriage means to me. And so the people that are there are people who have always been there. My mother, my father, my brother, his wife, his kids. And that's the extent of my family that's going to be there. Rico is even more restrained. His mother is coming. No one else. we've looked at a lot of factors that just, for better or for worse, have made us feel like smaller is better. I cannot soothe the disappointment that I know many feel about not being there. I'll always feel that, and I understand, and this is a very small bone to throw any of you for how awesome you've been in my life. Please understand that it hurts me to be at this point and being so limited. It really does. But I think that that's what the call to God is also about, is accepting truth, managing what you are capable of, setting yourself up for success, creating what you can as best you can, and acknowledging the fact that you can't be everything for everyone. And I guess that's what people mean when they say it's your day, is that, that, there's no way that you could possibly have something that is going to please everybody, and it's not about pleasing them, it's about pleasing you. Well, for somebody who's never thought of getting married or even finding a person that I could be with for the rest of my life, or even think of that, all of this has been very odd and very uncomfortable. So, it's wild. It's wild, and I just keep praying that it'll be a good day. I keep praying that everyone will have fun. I pray that I'll receive forgiveness for those who might be upset at me that they didn't get an invitation. I pray that, we'll all be there for each other as we need to be, or come to the reality of our limitations and lovingly do what we have to do in any regard. I know that for myself, I've never felt bad about that. I've never misunderstood it when people have to do what they got to do for themselves. And even during COVID, when I was really upset at a lot of people because I knew the ramifications of the actions that were being taken would be devastating for us all, even then I understood why people were doing it. I understand each person's personal space within that. And I can judge it. I did judge it, but I don't get to. That my determination about it is not the determination about it. It's not. But I do get discernment, which I'm learning more and more to embrace and to let guide me and to be more strategic about. And this has always felt cold and calculated to me, but what I've realized is that it's just loving. It's just loving to look at where I'm limited and be realistic within that, and keep in mind that no matter what, there's still love there. There's still hope and time and space, because it's eternal if I see it from God's view as best I can. So the Facebook page is I might have invited a few of you already to it. I just made it today to think that I'd understand what, what I called it. Of course, I don't remember. Something like Rico and Amy's wedding. And we are starting a hashtag. So this podcast usually, I advertise for it, all social media spaces that I can, Twitter too. And I want to share something about Twitter. Or not Twitter. Sorry, X. God, that's terrible. Most people know it as Twitter, though. X is an odd thing to say, but X. I share on all those spaces the podcast, but we're going to start a hashtag. So whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, the hashtag will be Illiano, ILLIANO 2024. So again, that's Illiano 2024 will be our hashtag, where we're going to ask people to post photos and all this good stuff. And we're going to, have, the virtual space for people that do attend the wedding, to share what they record, what they witness, and all of that in this space, so that everybody can be there in some regards. And it's a space where if you would like to leave a message of support and encouragement, you can do so. And you can, share whatever you feel. Again, I can't control the disappointment that anybody would feel about not going. It kills me too. On the back end of that, though, the thing that has kind of been in my heart and my mind is, other celebrations. They've always been taxing for me, because there's so many people and so many families and so much going on in these singular days or celebrations, that it's just impossible to do it all. I'm making this wedding in the heart of birthday season for my family. I'm the 24th of August. My dad's the 28th. My brother's is September 2nd. I haven't even given him his gift yet. I have to. My niece's is the 18th. On my birthday, quote unquote, alone, I know like 4 other people that share that birthday. On my father's, I know one other person. On Jared's, I know one other person since childhood. Our relationship is tense right now, but she shares it too. I wished her a happy birthday. On Aylin's birthday, my friend Dora is on her birthday, the 18th. So this is smack dab in the heart of all of it. Just throw another thing in and around all of this, the 15th of September, which, by the way, is when my quarterly taxes is due. So that's, wonderful, right? Like I'm going to be celebrating my anniversary right around when I have to pay my quarterly taxes. So I know what I'm doing. But, you think about Christmas and you think about all these other holidays and you go, wow, there's so much in this time. And truth be told, if I didn't want to just tie the knot as soon as I could, I would have done it more in February, end of February, around Valentine's Day, because Rico and I's meeting and coming together, and actually the foundation of when our relationship really started was February 26th. So that's like our official when we first got together day. And I probably would have centered it more around that had I not just wanted to really get my life going. And I'm sure those 2 dates, the September 15th is the wedding day, the Sunday, and February 26th are going to be the 2 days that we really kind of, for ourselves, go in and introspect. But, you think about Christmas, I still haven't gotten some of my cousins their Christmas gifts. Other cousins I have probably never bought gifts for. There's cousins having kids that I barely see. I see them on Facebook. I watch them grow on Facebook. You know, friends of mine that I haven't seen for years that have had kids that I don't even see anymore, that I watch their kids grow on Facebook. I mean, it's a lot, folks. This is a far cry from the original idea of marriage, because what we have access to now as far as information towards each other and seeing each other is so vast. And again, I'm grateful because it's allowed me to be an artist and to sell my wares and to showcase all of that to all of you. And it has carried me to this point, but it is overwhelming as hell. And so I have a lot of empathy to anyone who is struggling with it in the beginning, because that's where I'm at right now. And that's what I feel right now. And so I have a lot of knowledge of what is scary for you. What I could say, honestly, is dig deep, cultivate a relationship with God. It is amazing when you do, if you haven't already. And I think I have to go because I have to get ready. Pray for me, everyone. My dress came in that I ordered, and it's abysmal. It's not what I ordered. And so now I have to, the week before my wedding, scramble to try and get something together. It's an awful situation, but it's one that I created. And so I have an appointment to go try on dresses and see what I can purchase that is a better fit, literally, for me. But in any event, diary listeners, I love you. I have gratitude for you. And God bless. Have a powerful week. You know I will. It's going to be one of the most powerful, definable things of my life that I'm sure will, in my heart, go down really well. So I love you. And I'll catch you, God willing, the week after as Mrs. Illiano. Bye, listeners.
Thanks for listening. You can find the Apprenticeship Diaries on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our IG is _apprenticeship_diaries. If you would like to offer constructive criticism or an interview, drop us an email at theapprenticeshipdiaries@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from our listeners.